bored. And when we got bored, we began doing what my mom and dad called messing around. You know, the kind of messing around that makes your mother say, well, now, Michael King, if you're trying to kill your little sister, you're doing a darn good job of it. The kind of messing around that makes your father say, mark my words now, someone in this room is going to be crying soon. My brothers took my sisters and I by our wrists and our ankles, and they went 1, 2, 3, into the fire you go. But they didn't throw us in the fire. They laid us down and they tickled us until we screamed and yelled for mercy. After a while, my father said, that's enough of that now. We're all going into the kitchen and we're going to have some eggnog. And so everybody vacated the living room and they went into the kitchen for my father's annual homemade eggnog. Everybody, that is, except me. I stayed back in the living room and I played with my panda bear. We had tea parties and we played and we played and we played. Why, we must have played for at least 5 minutes. And then my panda bear and I got bored. And when we got bored, we began messing around. I picked him up by his arm and by his leg, and I went 1, 2, 3, into the fire you go! But unlike my brothers, I didn't put him down on the ground. No, I let him fly through the air, and he accidentally landed upside down and kind of to the side, right in the middle of the fireplace. I reached in to get him, but it was hot, like the day I got too close to my mother's iron when she was ironing for Dad. I stood there and I watched as those flames from those logs came up and made his black ears kind of brown and crinkly. It smelled bad. I looked closer and I noticed that the flame was eating up that red satin sash and making it break into little pieces. It floated up that chimney like red popcorn. And then for a while, the flame disappeared behind the panda bear's back. And when it came out, it looked like great, big, huge claws that ripped at that seam that held his belly together and broke it open. And when it broke open, big popcorn-sized balls of cotton began to jump out of the fireplace and land all around me on that multicolored rug. And wherever they landed, a little fire started. I stood there, not knowing what to do, hardly able to move, until suddenly I heard, as if it was a dream, someone saying, "Glory be to God! What's that smell? There's a fire in the house. Where's the baby?" And with that, I heard footsteps coming forward. Somebody grabbed me and pulled me back, and suddenly my father and my 2 brothers were in front of me. They all had fireplace tools in their hands, and they were jabbing and poking and sticking my panda bear. And my father, he was speaking in Gaelic, and it kind of made me want to move even farther back and cover my bottom. All of a sudden, my brothers and my father pulled that panda bear with those forks and those sticks out onto that burning rug. They wrapped him up in that rug like a hot dog in a bun, and then they carried him out through the front door and through the front porch out onto the lawn, and my brothers jumped up and down on the rug. I stood there and watched. And I cried. And my mother got down on her knees and held me, and she said, "Oh, me sweet one now, I don't want you worrying. Mommy didn't like that rug anyway." But it wasn't the rug I was worried about. It was my panda bear. I don't recall much of the rest of the evening. I know I was told to say my prayers and go to bed. But I do remember that from then on for the rest of my life, it seemed, that whenever anybody asked me what I wanted for Christmas, I would say, "I know exactly what I want. I want a stuffed animal." But if my family was around, they would interrupt me and say, "Oh, no, 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 no. Maureen does not get a stuffed animal until she's old enough to take care of it." And then they would proceed to tell the whole world about the panda bear and how I almost burned down the house. And so it was, ladies and gentlemen, that I never did get a stuffed animal, not for birthdays or Easter or anything like that. Oh, I got bicycles and dancing dolls, and I got all the things that a kid wants. But I didn't get stuffed animals. When I was in middle school, I started babysitting, and I could have gone out and bought my own stuffed animals like my best friend Nancy Kearns. She collected them and created a pyramid as high as the sky on her bed. But I thought a stuffed animal was something your parents should buy you, like bringing you a new sister or a brother. I got into high school and I forgot all about stuffed animals and centered more on test scores, where I was going to go to college, and boyfriends. And then something amazing happened to me. I was coming upon my senior year in high school, planning where I was going to go to college. And I realized that I might have the opportunity to spend Christmas alone with my mother and father. For you see, being the youngest of 6, everybody else was off, graduated from college and married, and spending Christmas morning at their own homes. Christmas came, and yes, indeed, it was just Mom and Dad and I. Finally, I was an only child. I loved it. The tree was abound with gifts under it, and I began ripping into all of them and opening each one. I got all the things you get when you're going to college. I got a new set of luggage. I got towels. I got a hairdryer. I got an alarm clock with a radio on it. I got records for my stereo. I got sheets and blankets. Of course, I had gone out, picked them all out, wrapped them, put them under the tree, unwrapped them, and, that was the situation then. I was just about to gather my bounty up and take it to my room when my father got up, and he said, "Now, Maureen, your mother and I, we have one more gift for you." And with that, he got up. He walked into that big bedroom that he and my mother had shared for decades. I heard him riffle around, and then I saw him come out with a box. The box was about that big, and I could tell at one glance that my mother and father had gone to Yonkers and paid 50 cents to have it custom wrapped. I had never, ever had anything that was custom wrapped before. My father put it on my lap, and gingerly I undid the ribbon, put my fingers under the tape, and took the paper off. I lifted the lid and spread the tissue apart to unveil a cinnamon-colored teddy bear. He had a darker brown satin ribbon round his neck, and a tag hung from it. The tag said, "To Maureen, from Mom and Dad. We think you're old enough to take care of it." And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, that I was one of the few young ladies that went to the University of Iowa with a teddy bear under my arm. My father told me to sleep with it, and absolutely, positively no one else. And it is also why, when I got married and came to my husband's house, I was most likely one of the very few brides that bought a worn and a tattered golden teddy bear. It's also why, if any of you were to come to my house now, you would see that it is a very unusual house. The house that I live in doesn't have just 1 or 2 floors. No, it has 3 floors. We tried for 4, but it really confused our builder. The house that I live in has stairs that go up and down in each floor, and every single one of them has a back. Where I live in the kitchen, somebody forgot to put that big hump in the middle of the sink. And so any 4 or 5-year-old could have a bath in there on any given night. If you were to take the stairs up to the 2nd floor in that house, you would see that as you go, there's artwork all over that gallery. The artwork has been done by my 2 darling sons, and never, ever, ever will I take it down. When you get to the going to bed and saying your prayers floor, there's a room there that my son Danny Boy lived in for many years. It faces our front yard. It has a long window, and right in front of that window is a window seat just as long. My sons and I used to sit there, read stories, and laugh and sing, and watch the squirrel that runs up and down that maple tree every single day. If by chance you were to cross the hall into the room where my husband and I have shared a room for decades and decades, you would notice that there's hardly anything in there that's feminine. It's dark cherry wood, lots of books, except for the fact that on the bed, when it's made, there are lots of pillows. And amongst those pillows is a tattered and torn teddy bear. It must have been cinnamon-colored once. And perhaps there was a darker brown silken sash around its neck. If you look closely, as I do every day, you can see that sash, and you can see that there's a tag that hangs from it. And the tag says, "To Maureen from Mom and Dad, we think you're old enough to take care of it now."